The crowd roared as names echoed through the auditorium. Caps tossed, cameras flashing. I stood under the hot Austin sun, my graduation robe sticking to my skin, holding my program like it might keep me upright. All around me, parents laughed, cried, hugged their kids. I kept scanning the parking lot, hoping. Then my phone buzzed. Dad. Sorry, honey. Your mother isn't feeling well. We can't make it. Congratulations. The words hit harder than the heat. My mother had been fine 2 days ago. I knew exactly what this was. I called him. He answered after 4 rings. Dad, what's going on? His sigh was heavy, rehearsed. Anne, we've talked about this. You have a business degree. You should be applying to real jobs, not wasting time on photography. I'm not wasting time. I have clients already. You need stability, not some side gig with a camera. Gregory's at a bank now, making $60,000. That's the kind of future we wanted for you. Around me, another graduate's mom screamed her daughter's name with pride. I swallowed the lump in my throat. So you're punishing me? We're protecting you, he said flatly. When you're ready to take life seriously, we'll be here. Until then, you're on your own. The line clicked dead. That night, my apartment felt colder than usual. I lay in the dark, my cap and gown still folded on the chair, the silence pressing against me. They wanted me to play it safe, to sit in some cubicle and pretend I was happy. I opened my laptop. The folder labeled Dream Inc. stared back. My business plan, months of research, brand ideas, equipment budgets. I had $4,000 saved from freelance shoots. Austin's creative market was exploding. Food, fashion, tech startups, all craving content. Maybe I was naive. Maybe I was stupid. But I wasn't going to let fear sound like logic. Next morning, I texted Dad. I'm starting my photography business. I hope you'll be proud someday. The reply came minutes later. Don't call when it fails. I stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Then I smiled, a shaky, tear-streaked smile, and whispered, Watch me. That summer, I became the girl with the camera and the endless coffee. Birthday parties, dog portraits, restaurant shoots that paid in free meals. I worked 16-hour days, slept 4, edited until my eyes burned. Every no pushed me harder. Every smile from a client was proof that maybe I wasn't crazy. By December, I landed my first real contract, $12,000 from a boutique hotel downtown. When the check cleared, I wanted to call them. To say, see, I did it, but I didn't. I just closed my laptop, leaned back in my chair, and whispered to the quiet apartment, Let them wonder. Outside, Austin glowed in orange dusk, alive with music and ambition. The world didn't care who believed in me. And maybe that was the best thing that ever happened. The first year nearly broke me. Austin was bright and alive, but it didn't care if I slept, or ate, or cried quietly into my keyboard at 2 a.m. I shot everything that paid. Tacos, weddings, dog birthdays, real estate listings. My hands shook from caffeine more often than exhaustion. When my parents cut me off, they didn't just take away support, they took away permission to fail. Failure wasn't an option anymore. I lived above a thrift store in East Austin. The ceiling leaked, the floor creaked, and my kitchen was a single hot plate. But it was mine. My neighbors were musicians and painters. They didn't have stability either, but they had something my parents never understood: faith in possibility. Every morning, I'd wake to the smell of roasted coffee from the cafe downstairs and tell myself, one more day, just one more shoot, and somehow one day became a year. By fall, I had a rhythm. I knew the good light in every neighborhood, the angles that made food sparkle, the shortcuts between venues. I learned how to negotiate, how to smile while being underpaid. and how to send invoices that didn't get ignored. When I finally registered my company, Ann Pierce Photography LLC, the email confirmation felt like oxygen. I'd done it. Legally, officially, proudly. On my own. My first big client came right before Christmas. A boutique hotel wanted full website photography. The contract read $12,000. I stared at it, hands trembling. That was more than I'd made in the last 3 months combined. When the payment hit my account, I wanted to call Dad, to tell him I wasn't a failure. But then I remembered his words. Don't call when it falls apart. So I didn't. I took myself to dinner instead. 1 glass of wine, 1 expensive steak, 1 quiet toast to survival. Year 2 moved faster. My name started circulating in Austin's restaurant scene. Food blogs tagged me. Owners introduced me to other owners. My Instagram started climbing. I developed a look, golden hour lighting, shallow focus, and warm tones that made people hungry. By midsummer, I had to hire help. Zoe, an art school graduate with messy hair and unstoppable energy, became my assistant. We worked in perfect chaos. She set up lights, I shot, and we both laughed through exhaustion. Someday, she said once, wiping sweat from her forehead after a 10-hour shoot, they're gonna know your name, I smiled. Someday's already here. They just don't know it yet. But every night, when I scrolled through Facebook and saw pictures of my parents smiling with my cousins at family dinners, the hollow space in my chest returned. They looked happy, happier without me, so I worked harder. I chased projects like oxygen. By year 3, everything changed. A food influencer with 2 million followers came to town and hired me for a 3-day shoot. When she posted the photos, she tagged me in every one. My following exploded overnight. My inbox flooded. Bookings tripled. When I raised my rates, clients still lined up. Then I raised them again. One evening, I stood on my tiny balcony, city lights glittering like promises below, and whispered, Dad. You said I'd fall apart. I smiled into the wind. Turns out I was just getting started. 5 years after that text, the one that said, you're on your own, a new one came. Dad, your mother and I saw your new home on Instagram. It's beautiful. We'd love to reconnect. Maybe dinner? Bring your investors too. Investors. I laughed out loud, alone in a kitchen I bought with cash from my own hands. They thought someone else had made this happen. Of course they did. For 5 years, silence. Not a birthday, not a holiday, not a single, we're proud of you. And now, because of a house photo drenched in sunset light, they wanted back in. I typed 3 different replies before settling on one. Sure, Saturday at 7, I'll make the reservation. Then I called Trevor, my operations manager, and one of the few people who'd seen the entire climb from ramen noodles to restaurant campaigns. They, want to meet my investors? I said flatly. He paused. You don't have investors. I know, but maybe it's time they meet the person who invested in me. He smiled through the phone. When do we start planning? Saturday arrived in golden spring sunlight. I treated it like a battlefield. A silk blouse, navy blazer, and the silver watch I'd bought the day I crossed $400,000 in revenue, a reminder that every second had been earned. Trevor met me outside Juniper, one of Austin's best restaurants. He looked the part. Sharp suit, leather portfolio, steady presence. Ready? He asked. No, I said, but we're doing it anyway. Inside, the owner, Jordan, a longtime client and friend, led us to the private dining room overlooking downtown. She leaned in before leaving. Give them hell, she whispered. At 7 p.m. sharp, the hostess opened the door. My parents stood there, older but unmistakably the same. Perfect posture, polite smiles, pretending time hadn't happened. Anne. Mom exclaimed, eyes watering. Sweetheart, look at you. I let her hug me, stiff and formal. Dad's handshake turned awkward halfway through, so he pulled me into a half hug. You look so professional, he said. Thank you, I replied. This is Trevor, my business partner. The word made Dad's eyebrows rise. Ah, so you did bring your investor. Trevor's voice was smooth. I joined 3 years ago, but Anne had already built the foundation herself. I just helped manage operations. We sat. The air was polite, brittle. They glanced around the private room like appraisers assessing property value. This is quite a place, Dad said. The owner's a friend? I answered. I've done photography for her menus. Mom smiled thinly. Oh, you're still doing photography? We thought maybe you'd moved into something more stable. Trevor's pen froze mid-tap. I kept my smile. Photography built everything you saw online, I said softly. Every bit of it, Dad cleared his throat. Well, with your degree, we assumed you'd diversified. Trevor jumped in effortlessly. She has. We handle brand campaigns, national ads, social media licensing. It's a creative agency now. Their eyes lit up, impressed by corporate words. For a moment, I almost pitied them. Then Mom reached across the table, resting her manicured hand on mine. We've missed you so much, sweetheart. I looked at her ring, glittering under the chandelier, and said quietly, You could have called. Any time in the last 5 years, the air thinned. Dad forced a smile. We thought we were giving you space, letting you figure things out. By cutting me off completely? He sighed, the same sigh I'd grown up fearing. We were trying to teach responsibility. I met his eyes. What you taught me was independence. The waiter arrived just then with the wine list. Timing, I thought, was everything. The waiter poured wine, his polite smile slicing through the silence. My parents ordered the most expensive bottle, as if price could fill the years they'd left empty. Dad raised his glass. To family, he said, and new beginnings. Trevor and I didn't move. Our untouched glasses reflected the chandelier's gold light like mirrors, showing exactly what we didn't say. Anne, Dad sighed, lowering his drink. Come on. We're trying here. Are you? I asked. Or are you just trying now that you saw the house? Mom flinched. That's not fair. Seeing it just reminded us how much time we've lost. What you've lost, I corrected softly. Dad leaned back, his tone turning parental. We're not here to argue about the past. You've proven yourself and we're proud of you. Now you're proud. The words came out quieter than I meant, but sharper. You missed my graduation because you didn't approve of who I was. You ignored every call, every message. But one photo of a house suddenly made you realize I exist again? Anne, Mom whispered, eyes glistening. Everything we did was out of love. We wanted you to have stability. Trevor finally spoke, his voice calm but cutting. When Anne was living in a studio apartment, shooting 16 hours a day, skipping meals to buy equipment, where were you then? Dad's face hardened. Excuse me? This is a family matter? Trevor didn't blink. She's my business partner and my friend. That makes it my matter. Because I watched her cry over the kind of silence you call space. The air snapped like static. Mom's voice broke. We thought if we stopped helping, she'd come to her senses. We were scared. Scared I'd fail? I asked. Or scared I'd succeed without you? They said nothing. Trevor leaned forward. For context, he said, Anne's company grossed nearly $500,000 last year. She employs 5 people, works with national brands, all built without a single dollar of outside investment. Dad blinked. The number landed like a punch. 500,000? His voice shifted from surprise to calculation. That's impressive. You should really start thinking about proper tax management. I could introduce you to... I interrupted cold. I already have an accountant. He smiled, trying to recover. I'm just saying, family looks out for each other. Maybe we can help each other now? I set my glass down deliberately. Like you helped me 5 years ago? Mom's tears spilled. Why are you being so cruel? We made a mistake, but we're trying to make it right. You're trying to make it convenient, I said quietly. You want the version of me you can brag about, not the one you abandoned when she was broke and scared. Dad's voice cracked. We gave you life, Anne. Doesn't that count for something? It did, I said, standing. Until you decided it came with conditions. Trevor stood too, silent solidarity. My heart pounded, but my voice stayed steady. You texted me asking to meet my investors, I said. You're looking at her. Dad frowned. What? The only investor who ever believed in me was me. The room went still. Even the hum of the city outside seemed to fade. Mom whispered, Anne, please. No, I said. You wanted to reconnect. I wanted you to understand what you walked away from. I turned toward the door, pausing just once. Dinner's paid for. You can stay and finish it. But unless you're ready to apologize for the right reasons, don't contact me again. And with that, I walked out, Trevor beside me, the Austin skyline glittering like the life I'd built from their absence. The night air outside Juniper felt cleaner, like stepping out of a storm. I didn't look back. Trevor walked beside me, silent until we reached the car. You okay? He asked softly. I don't know yet, I said. Ask me tomorrow. He nodded. For what it's worth. You were brilliant in there. They deserved every word, I smiled faintly. Maybe. But it still hurts. We drove through downtown Austin, lights reflecting off glass towers I used to walk past dreaming of office jobs I'd never want. Now my photos hung in their lobbies. When Trevor dropped me home, my house glowed warm and perfect. The home they thought investors bought me. I built it myself, brick by brick, frame by frame. Inside, the silence wasn't lonely anymore. It was mine. My phone buzzed. Dad, you embarrassed us tonight. We came in good faith. We deserved better. Mom, we'll always love you, even when you're being difficult. Then one more text, from an unknown number. Gregory, Aunt Helen told me about dinner. I always thought what they did was wrong. I'm proud of you. Coffee sometime? I stared at the message, heart softening for the first time all night. Me. Thanks, Greg. I'd like that. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight spilling through the glass wall of my living room. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and got back to work. Because that's what you do when you've built everything from nothing. You keep building. 2 weeks later, the call came. Anne, this is Victoria Chambers from Lifestyle Magazine. We just got your portfolio. We want to feature your work and your story. 6 pages. A full profile. I laughed in disbelief. You're serious? Dead serious, she said. Your journey. People need to hear it. When the article came out, it exploded. Building dreams. How one woman turned rejection into a photography empire. It told the truth. How my parents withdrew support. How I survived on ramen. How I built a business with no investors, no safety net. My inbox flooded. Bookings tripled overnight, and then, inevitably, Mom called. Anne, that article. People at church are asking questions. Your father's furious. You made us look terrible. I didn't make you look like anything, I said. You did that yourselves. You could have protected us. She pleaded. I paused. You didn't protect me. I hung up. Then I blocked her number again. 3 months later, Lifestyle's story landed me a speaking invitation at a university. After the talk, a young woman approached me, eyes wet. My parents think I'm wasting my life chasing art, she said. Your story made me believe I can keep going. I took her hands and smiled. Then tell them this. Sometimes the only approval you need is your own. She hugged me like she'd just been handed permission to exist. And in that moment I realized something. I hadn't just built a business. I'd built a bridge for others like me. That was the real revenge. Not success. Becoming. Years from now, people might forget the argument at that dinner table. But they'll remember the woman who stood up from it, stronger, freer, and unashamed to dream too big. Because the best revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's living a life so right that their absence doesn't matter anymore.